Donk Nation, Jackson, Jen, it's greetings and welcome to your Daily Dose Donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing you some Steelers talk. After really, man, I don't know if this Cowboys loss here was more deflating to me than the Colts. The Colts dominated us, in my opinion. But the Cowboys loss, Gingy Laskers, I know y'all didn't stay up to see the whole game because the hour and a half delay being on the East Coast, that sucks. Works out perfect for the people in Alaska. But that was a Steelers game. Take the lead late, put the defense on the field. But what's concerning is this offense hasn't improved. You can say what you want. This offense sucks as much as it did last year. And this defense is no longer good enough to win games against average football teams like the Cowboys. Man, this game really hurt, Gingy. This game really hurt me where I feel good vibes should have come out of it.
Yeah, Gingy in the house. Definitely disappointing outcome. Played into the Steelers type of game, right? Close game, low scoring game, no track meet. The allegedly the better unit, which yeah, I guess they are. Offense is terrible, but the defense had their chance, had the game in their hands, ready to win it, and they didn't. And they didn't, Donkey. So when you can't rely on that Steelers defense and you have an offense that looks the way it does.
But I hear what Gingy's saying, and Laskers, we're going to bring you in here. But when a team spends 3/4 of their payroll on one side of the football, that side of the football is on the field. Aren't those the games you're supposed to win?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's the unit you got to rely on.
Laskers,
it's definitely the unit you got to rely on, but Dallas defense was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
How did we only put up 17 points? I mean, this is embarrassing.
Well, when your third string running back is the only healthy running back, I'm sorry, your first string running back, who's your third best running back, is the only healthy running back, and you continue to run the ball at a team that has no pass rushers healthy because you are scared to death of letting Justin Fields throw the football, that's what you're going to get is a performance like this. And if you're not going to let Justin Fields throw the football in that circumstance, I hate to see it. But the way this offense is run, Laskers, the way this offense is run, Gingy, Russell Wilson has to be the man because this offense will never be successful with Justin Fields the way they run it.
Well, I don't like to hear that, Donkey. I feel like Justin Fields presents another dynamic component.
But they don't use it.
Upside.
They don't use it.
Justin Fields has a huge upside, but we're not even trying to use that.
This is the debate I'm going to give you, Gingy. If you have, and you're a cost-conscious person, and you refuse to drive over 45 miles an hour, is it better for you to drive your McLaren or your goddamn Prius?
Your Prius.
Exactly. The Steelers' offense is a damn Prius, and you need to put the Prius in the lane because if you're going to kook up the McLaren, there is no reason for using it ever. I don't understand what they're doing with Justin Fields. Everyone promised me Arthur Smith was going to be such an improvement over Matt Canada. Hey, news flash. We have now, a third of the season in? He's worse than Matt Canada statistically. Yeah, let that sink in.
Points per game? I think we're scoring, 3/4 of a point more with Artie Smith.
I firmly believe we're scoring about 17 points a game.
Right, and if you
14 to 17.
And if you compare that to Matt Canada's career, it's slightly below, right?
Probably. I mean, I think we're probably scoring 10 to 14.
It's just
we have to fact check that.
We're not good enough on offense.
That's a lot of work, Gingy.
We said we were improving on offense. There's no improvement on offense. We said this defense was stalwart. This defense is plain and simple. This defense is TJ Watt. And we have wasted, going on 8 years, 9 years now of a guy who, congratulations, 100 sacks for TJ. Absolutely amazing. But have the Steelers won a playoff game or even been competitive in the division race with TJ Watt? I mean, once I think we did. We won the division. How do you have the best player on defense in the league, the highest paid defense in the league, and still be as unsuccessful as the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's why this loss kills me, because this loss epitomates the whole career of TJ Watt, where we expect the defense to be otherworldly, and if they're just good, good isn't good enough, Gingy.
You're absolutely right. With the offense that we put out there, scoring, my guess is probably 18.5 a game. My guess was probably 17.5 with Canada, but either way, it's not good. Anything under 20, averaging under 20 in today's modern NFL, you're not going to compete. You're not going to compete at a high level. You're going to be 9-8.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're not going to be competitive in the playoffs. And this loss to Dallas, I mean, let's be honest. If you watch the game, all three of Dak's turnovers were Dak just being Dak. The Steelers didn't make a good play. Dak just made bad throws on two of them and held the ball way too long on the third. This is a Dallas team that has no running game whatsoever to speak of. Their passing game is very suspect, especially with Cooks on the sideline. They were down 3 starting offensive linemen. 3 starting offensive linemen. Their defense was without their top 2 pass rushers, without their middle linebacker. And the Pittsburgh Steelers can't hold that offense under 20 points and can't score 20 points. I'm really hurting right now because this team's going to finish probably 10-11 wins somehow. I just don't see where this team is better than they were last year. And if we go another 9-10 win, I don't see how we're going to improve. I hope things to change. The reason I say you have to put the Prius in is because they're never going to let Justin Fields be Justin Fields. And if you're not going to let him take chances, there's no reason to put him in. I don't think it's going to get much better with Russell Wilson. But if you watch the game, there's no doubt. Justin Fields is not a guy who processes information fast. Justin Fields is not a guy who will hit that open receiver on that 5-yard route if it's not his first read, because he's slow through processing. That's why you have to design plays that are designed to get a certain player open. You want to watch a perfect offense of that? Watch Washington with Jaden Daniels. The plays are designed to get that first read open. Watch the San Francisco 49ers with Brock Purdy. Plays that are designed to get that first read open. So these guys don't have to read the whole field. Arthur Smith's system, just like Matt Canada's system, is a bunch of wide receivers running individual routes that don't work off of each other, that require the quarterback to process the whole field in order to figure out who won their matchup, and that just doesn't suit Justin Fields, Laskers.
The funny thing is, I don't think it's really going to suit Russell Wilson. Russell's getting older. Watching him last year in Denver, I don't think he can process the whole field. I think he is a guy that's looking at your first check and then, okay, maybe the second check, but he ain't going to the third check.
You're right, but the reason here, Gingy, I'll bring you in the list. The reason I think Russell Wilson's the guy is Russell Wilson's fast to the check down, and in this system, fast to the check down is going to be an advantage over holding to get to the check down because the defense won't have time to close on it. I don't disagree with you, Laskers, but I think he's quicker to process that, hey, read one isn't open, I'm going to check it down. Because that's what he did in Denver. And I think that makes this offense just slightly more bearable than it's been.
I mean, I'm willing to try Russell. I'm willing to try Russell at this point. But we won't try him until Justin loses another game.
Yeah, I really hope they open up the offense this week, Gingy, and let us see again what is capable, because we've seen some glimpses of genius from Justin Fields here. But, I mean, a lot of missed throws on Sunday night. I know it was a weird game. The weather delay throws everybody off. Sunday night's weird anytime because most of these people are already in bed on their daily regime before this game even starts. But it just, I don't know, man. These back-to-back weeks, getting kind of dominated by Indy and then losing the game the way the Steelers want to play to Dallas in primetime, man, it's a sour taste right now, is it not?
Really is. No, I don't like what I'm seeing right now. We need a turnaround game. We need something to click.
This is explosion.
Right. Yeah, I mean, week 6, week 7, we got to do something before we get to that stretch in the season. You know the stretch I'm talking about. That stretch, that's late November, last 7 games or so, we need to find a way to turn it on before that. If we save it for that, if we're 500 going into that and then rip the last part of the season apart, I have high hopes. It's a game of momentum, fellas. And right now the Steelers are looking a little stalled. They need a spark.
And just so we're clear, you're right. Points per game, the Steelers are better under Artie Smith. They've been in Matt Canada. But when we look at it at points per game, I mean, Canada's first year, we were 21st. Second year, we were 26th. Last year, we were 28th. This year, we're 26th. I don't know that we can call that an improvement. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Negligible improvement.
By technicality,
standard is a standard.
Yeah, standard is the damn standard, but what's the standard? Did you guys hear the Fox News guy who got a lot of blast from Steelers fans about saying Mike Tomlin is like the most overrated coach in football because while he gives your team this really high floor, he's also the lowest ceiling coach you're going to see because you're never going to see playoff success. What are your guys' feelings on the national media now, while albeit a small piece, and a guy who's he's on Fox Sports with Stank, I think, Mark Schlereth. I think he's his partner, going out and actually ripping into Mike Tomlin for being a coach that doesn't get high-end success. Do you think more media attention to this will push Mike out of his shell, or do you see this as a one-off, no one's going to listen?
I don't know. The evidence, the evidence sort of supports what they're speaking about. Like you can't. I don't think that totally dismissing that criticism would be the way to go. It'd be disingenuous, right?
Is it every 70% of teams have made the playoffs and have won a playoff game since the Steelers? They're not 70%, but made the playoffs, and every team in our division has won a playoff game. And if you look at the Steelers' playoff record since 2010, they're 2-6, something like that. And that's in 14 years. 14 years now. 2 playoff wins in 14 years, Gingy. We didn't grow up in the 80s. Well, we didn't grow up being big fans in the 80s, right? So we don't know the hurt that happened in the 80s, 90s, transitioning to when we were big-time fans of success. But it really feels like those changing from Chuck Noll to Bill Cowher, it feels like maybe it's time for that change.
Oh, I don't know. There'll be plenty of time to speculate about that. We're not going to be the New York Jets, are we? Come on.
They're one game out of the division and decide to fire their head coach. But when they traded for Aaron Rodgers, everybody knew Robert Saleh was pretty much dead in water, right? Like Aaron Rodgers was going to get what he wanted, and he doesn't want a defensive-minded head coach, which ironically now their interim head coach is their defensive coordinator. So I don't know if he really won that. And then his boy Nathaniel Hackett couldn't hack it again and lost play calling duties. So I don't know. Did Aaron Rodgers win that battle, Askers?
I don't think he did, but to touch on what you were talking about earlier, I just don't see us winning another playoff game under Tomlin. The standard is the standard, which is 9-8, and we lose the first playoff game we're in because we are not good enough.
If we luck into one of those circumstances we had before, like when we played Matt Moore starting in Miami, the backup quarterback, if we can run into another backup quarterback...
Yeah, you're right. If we run into a backup quarterback, but hey, we should have beat Dallas last week. By the way, we should have beat Dallas last week with all the injuries that they had.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you guys have any take of the attitude problems that are glaringly obvious right now in the Steelers? Uniform violations by guys like George Pickens wearing eye black that says always effing open. Just refusing to talk to the media when he's supposed to. They were George Pickens again. Saying that he has no control over the offense. It's all Art's fault. George Pickens seems to be a cancer, but he's not the only guy. Najee Harris has gone out and pretty much called out the way things are being done in here. Is this a problem? And it's been a problem with Mike Tomlin. We've talked about this multiple times. when there's not strong leadership in there, it shows big cracks in what Mike Tomlin does. And everybody said, oh, don't worry, we got Russ Wilson now. We have a leader they're going to respect. The stuff's still happening. What is going on with the Steelers and all of this diva mentality of the past 5 to 10 years, guys?
Gingy, can I take this?
Go for it.
There is definitely a problem here. Now, I think there's two problems. I think Tomlin is too buddies with the players, but we don't have a leader. Now, can Wilson be the leader? Maybe. But Wilson has to be the starting quarterback. And then Wilson needs to be the guy that says, sit down, shut the fuck up, I'm in charge, and that's it. That's what needs to happen. We need a leader. We do not have a leader currently. Yes, I know he's the captain, but he's not the leader because he hasn't played.
Fair take. Gingy.
Yeah, I actually echo that sentiment. He would have to definitely be the starting quarterback, and he would have to have success on top of that pretty immediately.
Yeah, I agree.
In Pittsburgh at this point, if that guy comes out there and throws 2 picks in the first half of his first game, the Boo Birds are out immediately.
Dude, he's going to be the next Mitch Trubisky.
He's not going to have really that much wiggle room to play with, to be honest. And that is because of the performance that we've seen to this point. Right,
he has no wiggle room.
When it comes to fans, like, we've given leeway. Now, unfortunately, that if Russell Wilson were to start now, that puts him in a position where he's not going to have 4 or 5 games of leeway to start at this point. At that point, we're at Thanksgiving. So we need to strike this ship right now if we have any chance of salvaging really this season.
I hear you, Gingy, but I don't think a quarterback has been given leeway in Pittsburgh since Ben Roethlisberger. Just personal take. Any of the quarterbacks since then. You want to talk Kenny Pickett, you want to talk Mitch Trubisky, you want to talk Mason Rudolph, I don't care which one. I don't think any of them have been given any leeway. They had to be perfect, and if they weren't, calls for their job were already made, or calls to get someone better. Let's turn this page. Let's go to defense. Landon Roberts almost gets to be the hero of the game. Defense forces 3 turnovers, plays a goodish game, but Dallas, with all their decimated injuries, moves the ball at will against us. Not something you want to see. Dak makes Dak turnovers. That's what really kept us in this game and gave us a late lead. But then the defense crumbles at the end. But man, it was 2nd or 3rd and goal, 4th quarter. Landon Roberts jumping over the goal line, hitting the ball out, looking like Troy Polamalu, hairless, flying through the air, about to become a Steelers legend. The fumble, unfortunately, is picked up by Dak. They score the touchdown on 4th and goal, and history is what history is. The Steelers lose Sunday night. But man, Landon Roberts, so close to being one of those games you remember, just like the Antonio Brown reach game against Baltimore, so close to being that guy that has the memorable moment. The Troy jumping over the line at the goal line to stop. That's why I mentioned his name. But he doesn't. But maybe the bigger problem is Patrick Queen again has a game where he didn't show up. But the defensive coordinator and the head coach seem to think Patrick Queen, and Terrell Austin said these words exactly, Patrick Queen is surpassing our expectations of him. My goodness gracious, Landon Roberts, clearly the guy making plays, doesn't get playing time. The guy who has sucked is clearly exceeding Steelers' expectation. Gingy, I have nothing to say about this. How does a defensive coordinator who sees that centerpiece missing all the big plays say that dude's playing above average football?
I'm not certain. I guess I'm not a linebackers coach, but Donkey, I don't see it.
I don't see it.
I don't see the Patrick Queen that's outperforming expectations.
Maybe he thought he was going to get 4 tackles a game.
I will say this. The one thing I will say about Patrick Queen is, while his coverage has sucked, while his tackling has sucked, while his run lane support has sucked, he has been a decent pass rusher. I will give him that.
That's not good enough, unfortunately.
No, he's the 3rd best middle linebacker we have right now. Peyton Wilson and Landon Roberts have been clearly head and shoulders above what Patrick Queen has been. And Laskers, there's one other guy I want to call out here again. Where the hell was Minkah Fitzpatrick the whole Cowboys game?
I don't think he showed up. I mean, yeah, he had some tackles.
I mean, Joey Porter Jr. and Jackson were both getting torched the whole game, but at least they both made a turnover. So I can, give a little leeway there because at least they caused some splash plays for Gingy, which we haven't seen in a while. But Gingy, how many top tier or top paid players do we have to have performing at an average level before we will admit the defense is a problem that can't be saved by TJ Watt? I mean, Cam Hayward getting paid top dollar playing average football. Patrick Queen getting paid top dollar playing below average football. Larry Ogunjobi getting paid top dollar playing below average football. Minka Fitzpatrick getting paid top dollar playing average football. Deontay Jackson playing average football, getting paid above average money. How many of these guys on defense do we have to have performing at a substandard level for what their salary is before someone will go grow the pair and say, yo, the defense is a problem?
Well, for me, Donkey, I don't think I'm going to hit that take too hard, to be honest with you. I mean, yes, we're going to criticize the defense because at moments in the game they're not perfect. But seriously, they're holding teams, right? And if I know they're not perfect, right? They're probably I'd say 9-10 when they probably should be top 5 in terms of salary. Okay, I get it. But if that offense isn't horrendous, absolutely horrendous, this is kind of where I ended off last season, that unit would be in better positions on a regular basis. And I know, do I think they're performing up to the salary? Do I think they're performing up to the salary? No, but then again, when you're talking about that, I would go right back to the culture that we've seen in Pittsburgh since Mike Tomlin, and that's playing to the skill level of the opponent, right? That is something consistent that I've seen with Mike Tomlin, and you can argue that is a fair point. With
the standard is a standard.
Yes, I agree, but I'll tell you what, if I'm going to call out this team, yes, the defense has some faults, but holy smokes. A majority of my complaining is going to go towards that offense. The new offensive coordinator, the new era, and it's not any different than the bottom of the barrel guy that they were chanting for to get fired at a hockey game. Okay? Not happening.
I hear you, but when you spend the second least amount of money on offense, you're never going to have a good offense. That's what I'm going to tell you first and foremost. And when you spend the most money on defense, you can't be just a top 10 unit. You have to be a top 5 unit, arguably a top 2 unit with how much we spend on defense. And let's be honest here. You can say those nice things about the defense, but you seem to be completely ignoring the Colts game. And if you throw out week 1, which I always throw out week 1 because it's preseason football, you look at the 4 games outside of week 1, this defense hasn't performed at an above average level all year.
Spent first round capital on a running back and a running back centric offense that is not even performing at a 6th round level.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Hold on. So when you're talking about, I hear you when you're talking about salary. I hear you when you're talking about salary, but I'm talking about first round capital. Okay, that's 2 offensive linemen and a running back. And where's that offense with that 3 first round picks?
But if we're going to do that, let's look at this. We traded our best receiver to get a second-round cornerback, so there's a second-round cornerback there. We used the 32nd overall pick, which is normally a first-rounder, on a cornerback. We traded a first-round pick for a safety. We signed a free agent who was a first-round pick to a huge money free agent deal in the middle linebacker. We have a first-round defensive end. We have a second-round defensive tackle. We have a first-round outside linebacker. We have 2 third-round outside linebackers as the other 2 rotating starters. And Ogunjobi was a third-rounder. That was a huge free agent signing. So not only have we spent draft capital, all of our free agent capital seems to go to that side of the ball as well. And they're still not doing it. And no, the offense isn't of standard, but I can't come out here and say an offense that spends, until we signed Freiermuth to the extension, Kirk Cousins was making more money this year than our whole offense, okay? I can't blame an offense for sucking when there is no talent on this offense. And a first-round running back is always a waste of a pick. So you're right. We screwed that horribly. But you have a second-round tight end. That's the best you got in terms of, I think
you got 2 first-round offensive linemen.
One's a rookie who's out for the year, unfortunately, because he actually looked good. And the other one's a rookie we traded up for who looks lost. Let's be honest, looks lost.
Oh, that's what I don't like right there. We should be really getting the steadfast anchor set on that offensive line, and they're not.
And here's a fun fact, and I did it, and I talked to my wife about this. Do you know how many non-first round quarterbacks are starting in the NFL? 6. 6 non-first round quarterbacks are starting in the NFL. Do you know how many of those guys were not drafted by their current team? 3. And those 3 are Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, and why can't I think of the last one's name? But anyway, there's 3 of them, right? So the biggest problem I see for Pittsburgh is...
No, Baker was the first.
Baker was the first, yeah. It's Kirk Cousins, it's Geno Smith, and I don't know why, seriously, the last name is missing me right now. Oh, it was Gardner Minshew, but he's not even starting anymore. So take that with a grain of salt.
That's because he's hurt, isn't he?
No, he got benched last week because he sucked. Aiden O'Connell took over the starting job there for Vegas, and we'll get into that later. But I hear you, Gingy. But the Steelers, yeah, we missed on the first-round quarterback. Yeah, we went about it a weird way. We did bring in a first-rounder, and technically I will call him technically the starter because Russell Wilson, full participant, healthy, isn't the number one right now. So we will say Justin Fields is a starter for Pittsburgh. I don't give a crap what their depth chart says. I hear your argument, and I agree with you, by the way. I want to put this on paper. I agree with you the offense isn't performing to the level it needs to. But when you trade your best offensive weapon, doesn't that guy who you add on defense have to give you surplus value?
I would say yes.
So if this guy hasn't given you surplus value, is it really fair to blame the offense when you crippled the offense to make the defense better and the defense isn't good enough? Is it really fair to blame the offense for that?
It's tough, Donkey. It's a tough call. I still think the defense is good enough. I think the offense has too many 3-and-outs, too many stunted drives, too crappy a field position. I
hear what you're saying, but the Colts game says exact opposite of what you're saying. That Cowboys game, weren't all the touchdown drives over 65 yards?
I'll tell you what, I saw big splash plays in red zone territory. That's what
Dak
I'm used
made
to.
Dak plays. I'll give you that. Dak is Dak. But it's not like we made great plays there. Watch all 3 of those turnovers and tell me which one you think the Steelers made happen. Is this team capable of taking advantage when other teams make mistakes? Yes, but is this team capable of forcing the other team to make the mistake is where I'm really getting at, Gingy. And Laskers, you can take this. Do you think this defense can force other teams to make mistakes? TJ Watt is not allowed in the conversation because he's just TJ Watt.
No, I don't think we can. I mean, I really don't think we can force them to make mistakes.
That's what I see, and that's where my problem for all this comes in, Gingy, is I just don't see a defense that wins games. Like the early or late 2000s, that team won you games. You'd have James Harrison making 100-yard touchdowns in the Super Bowl. But this defense, dude, a 90-yard touchdown drive to start the fourth quarter, okay? And then they had a 50-yard field goal block drive. A 7-play, 70-yard drive that was an interception. An 8-play, 50-yard one field goal drive. A 9-play, 54-yard fumble drive. Finally, a 3-and-out. 1 3-and-out. The whole game, Gingy, a 6-yard field goal drive. 1 3-and-out is what the Pittsburgh Steelers forced. When you pay this much money on defense, 40% of the offense's drives need to end in 3-and-outs, in my opinion. That's what the standard should be. This team doesn't live to that standard. This team couldn't force a 3-and-out against frickin' West Coast Community College. They're not built to do it. They're not built to win you football games.
I hear you, Donkey. We need to get that pass rush better home. TJ's not putting up the numbers either. Got Highsmith and Herbig on the injury list this week, right? Yeah.
Both hurt. DeMarvin Leal's going to miss the game as well. Jeremiah Moon and whoever the hell we're calling up from the practice squad better be ready for some game action, Gingy. Because, boy, this doesn't look good.
Look a little thin back there, Donkey.
Yeah, certainly a lot thin. How about the Colts game? Again, we forced 1 3-and-out, 2 3-and-outs that whole game, and they played 3/4 of the game with a backup quarterback. It's just this game to me epitomized what the Steelers are, and the Steelers are a team that wants to win the game on defense, but doesn't have a defense to win the game. I'm not saying the offense is good, Gingy, so don't put those words that I'm defending the offense here. It's just I know where we spent our money. Like. I know what this team is supposed to be, and they're just not what they're supposed to be.
Sounds like a defense of the offense to me. But...
The offense sucks. I just feel that the offense gets blamed for every loss, and the defense gets to just ride off like, but we got T.J. Watt. We're so good. Every one of you outside of T.J. Watt is average. Every single one of you. And by the way, being average is really good because I personally am not out here saying they're not great athletes doing great things. They are, but the level they're getting paid, they need to do more. I guess last year's is what I'm trying to say.
Just so you know, Donkey, if this was the actual stats, which it can't be, if all 3 of our scores were all of our total yards, we would have done 75 yards for the 3 scores, which there's no chance that is what happened.
Are you talking this week, our drive length?
Yeah. No, yeah.
I don't know. I could pull that up real quick and get a look-see at it by pulling up the drive chart for it, but you'll have to give me a moment. And with that, I'll give you guys closing thoughts on the Dallas game before I bring that up for you.
We sucked.
Yeah, disappointing loss. Played it right to the end. Really kind of had... I mean, yeah, Donkey, you can say it's fortunate, Dak being Dak, but Steelers defense still causing splash plays and right opportunities, 2 turnovers in the red zone. In my opinion, did enough to win, right? Did enough to win on that end. You got to score more than 20 points. If you score 21 points, you win.
You got to score more than 17, Gingy.
Yeah, well, you see what I'm saying?
I was told, and I remember this line very well, and I think it was the 2020 Steelers. We spend so much money on defense, we should never have to score more than 15 points, I think was the line. And that's the standard I kind of live by, because that drunk dude in the bar, I'm like, I agree with you full-heartedly. And Laskers, to answer your question, the Steelers' drives were a 12-play, 63-yard touchdown drive, a 6-play, 57-yard touchdown drive, and a 11-play, 52-yard field goal. So... pretty good.
So we had some other stuff that didn't do anything.
We didn't really have a whole bunch of drives that game. I think we were below average. I think it was only 8 actual drives that weren't end of half drives. So if you take out the end of half kneel down and the end of half fumble drive, we only had 8 drives. 11 plays, 52 for a field goal early in the game to keep us tied because they had really short field goal drive for Dallas. 5-play, 2-yard punt, a 3-play, 0-yard punt, a 9-play, 21-yard punt, a 3-play, 9-yard end the half drive, 3-play, 5-yard punt to start the half, and then we went touchdown drive, and then it was game over. Our defense did so good in the second half that they gave up an 8-minute touchdown drive to start the half, a 2-minute drive that was the interception that led to our touchdown, but then a 4-minute touchdown drive to let Dallas win the game. Because, I forgot, the missed field goal drive was the start of the half. The defense in the second half had the blocked field goal, an interception, and let Dallas score the other 2 times. That means they were in scoring position 75% of the time in the second half, Gingy. That's where my problem is. This defense just allows too many scoring drives. I'm not saying they're the worst unit. I'm saying they need to perform better just like the offense does if this team wants to get to a level where it's competitive.
Yeah, specific people on that defense, too, that really milk. Minka Fitzpatrick, that really milk a large part of that salary cap that do not perform to that standard. Yeah, a few guys in particular.
Yeah,
a lot of guys overperforming.
TJ Watt. Really, outside of TJ Watt and Peyton Wilson, I will say Baby Herbig played good, and I think Highsmith played good pre-injury. But man, both of them getting hurt shows the problems with having undersized outside linebackers, right? So injury prone in a league with guys who are so big.
True story. I saw it too.
But I'm going to be honest, outside of TJ Watt, Peyton Wilson, Landon Roberts, I'm not sure there's a guy on this defense who's playing above their pay level. I mean, Beanie Bishop, man, I was fighting for that kid, but dude, did he get abused against the Cowboys?
Had a couple good plays, I'm not going to lie.
He had 3 tackles.
Yeah, he also was getting torched left and right. Deshaun Elliott for all the good. I am right on that one, right, Laskers?
Yes.
You're on Elliott watch for me every time. Deshaun Elliott had his worst game, and it's sad for me to say that. Falling over on coverage to allow the touchdown. Yeah, Deshaun Elliott didn't have a good game. But I think we beat the Cowboy thing into the ground enough. Let's talk about the Vegas Raiders, who, by the way, the Steelers had never lost to the Vegas Raiders as the Vegas Raiders. Fun stuff. 15-17 all time in this storied rivalry. If you were a 70s person, an AFC fan, man, Steelers Raiders is where it was at. At home, the Steelers are 9-6. Away, they are 6-11, but I believe they're 1-0 in Vegas because I believe we played at Vegas last year. Largest win was the Steelers by 32 in 2010. That was 3-35. The LA Raiders beat the Steelers by 28 points in 1984, 38-10. Longest streak was Vegas, had 6 straight from 76 to 84. Pittsburgh had 3 straight, 2 different times, 94-00 and 72-73. The current streak is the Steelers by 3, a chance to tie our longest winning streak. Last time we played, beat Vegas 23-18 on September 24th of last year. Man, you want to talk about a team decimated by injuries. We can talk about the Steelers' lack of edge rushers, but the Raiders, dude. Myers just getting put on the non-injury list. Christian Wilkins, probably their biggest defensive lineman, is going to miss the game due to injury. They're already without Devontae Adams. There's a lot of key players on that Raiders team that are hurt. Mm-hmm. Is this which team deals with injuries the best that makes a difference? Or is this Aiden O'Connell stepping in, young quarterback, has 9 career starts. The Raiders won 5-4 with him last year, so he's a guy who's won some games. Do the Steelers take advantage of the new starting quarterback taking over for underperforming Gardner Minshew, or do the injuries play the bigger part of this game for either the Raiders or the Steelers, Laskers?
I think the injuries play a bigger role for the Steelers than they do for the Raiders. I mean, they've been without Devontae for, a little bit here, so they know what to do.
But Gingy, is Laskers missing the biggest injury? A run-first Steelers offense going up against a Raiders defensive line without Christian Wilkins. Does that create the difference as Max Crosby now can be easily double-teamed every play and taken out of the game?
Yeah, I hear you on that. There is an opportunity to expose there, but again, the Steelers' running game heavily compromised without Patterson and Jaylen Warren.
Warren might play. Patterson is a no-go, but Warren might play.
Ooh, wow, that would be a big boost, Donkey, to see
Crosby
Warren back
is
in
limited practice too.
Yeah, Max Crosby's always limited in practice and always comes out at 10,000% on game day. I didn't see him given an official injury designation, so be ready to deal with that guy.
He's a minus.
Also, Pat Freiermuth creeped up late in the injury chart for the Steelers. But I don't know, really. I'll let you guys take it from here.
He full practice today.
I'll let you guys take it from here. What do you see happening in this game at Vegas? Should we go? Should we gamble? Should we hit the roulette table and feel lucky about the Steelers going to Sin City?
Gingy says yes. Spin them up. Right, Donkey? Spin them up. Get the roulette wheels cracking. I'm feeling lucky. All right. I don't think I'd like to see Aiden O'Connell under a lot of pressure this week. Like to see that Steelers defense be angry about what happened to him at the end of last game. And for good heaven's sake, yes, let's see something develop in the run game with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. It's terrible that Najee Harris needs a compliment in order to be effective, but in all honesty, he is more effective alongside Jalen Warren than he is by himself.
Nothing like 3 yards a carry, right?
He's more effective with Jalen Warren than he is by himself. I'll say that.
All right. You get here, and I don't even know what to say about the Raiders running game, man. It's been terrible. Zamir Wright is at 3 yards a carry. Madison's another. He's almost at 4 yards a carry, but he's more of a receiver-type running back. I don't think Abdullah is really healthy. You look at the receiving thing, I mean, Jacoby Myers has been an okay threat. Brock Bowers, this might be the talking point. Brock Bowers, a tight end, is absolutely their best receiving threat. Perhaps that's where the game change is. I don't know. But, I mean, Daniel Carlson's a pretty solid kicker. Defensively, Gingy's going to like this one. I actually like this one. One of the toughest boys I've watched play in Steelers uniform. Bobby Spillane is probably the best player not named Max Crosby on that defense.
Oh, boy. He's a bruiser. He's familiar with the culture.
He's going to come down and hit you. They have a lot of underperforming guys. Jack Jones, I know a lot of people expected a lot out of him coming in. He hasn't really done much. Maybe an overperformer to keep an eye on in this game, I think, is Charles Snowden. He's a guy who's put up a couple sacks here. He's an undrafted guy out of Virginia. He seems to have a little something there and is working pretty decent as a rusher for them. Maybe that's a guy who you don't hear the name of but deserves some talk. Divine Diablo, I mean, that dude's not playing the way I've seen him play in the past. There is some talent on this Raiders team to really watch out for. There's a reason they're 2-3. There's a reason the Steelers are 3-2. Does home field advantage make the difference? Who knows? But if you guys are ready, you want to get to some cash or trash on what's going to happen in this Steelers-Raiders matchup to bring back the 70s throwback pound you in the mouth style of football.
Sure.
We might see.
Let's hear it, Donkey. Let's try to minimize the trash this week, all right?
Offensively, the Pittsburgh Steelers tend to cater to people who whine and cry through the media. George Pickens did it. He gets more than 100 receiving yards and a touchdown this week, Gingy. Cash or trash?
Ooh. Cash that in. He needs a touchdown. Does he have a touchdown this year?
That's a fair question. I do not believe so.
He needs one. Yeah, give me some cash on that. Good start, Donkey.
All right, Laskers, we have been begging for Najee Harris to become a first-round pick for forever. Maybe it doesn't happen, but this week he goes over 100 yards, over 4 yards a carry, and scores a touchdown. Cash or trash?
I'm going to trash that one.
Yeah,
dang it,
that's fair.
Laskers.
George Pickens does not have a touchdown, by the way. And special shout-out,
Donkey got there quicker than I did.
Special shout-out, Kyle Allen steps in for one play after the weird pause for injury timeout, but they didn't take out the quarterback that was paused for the injury timeout delay in the football game. Kyle Allen steps in for one play and throws a 19-yard dart. By the way, special shout-out to him because kudos for a backup quarterback coming in and nailing a big play, Gingy.
I like that quite a bit. I saw that one.
This week, Gingy, the Steelers are going to make a quarterback change at halftime, and it is going to spark the offense to scoring on 70% of their second half drives. Specifically, I think they're going to score on 4 or 5 drives in the second half. Cash or trash, the backup quarterback, this week Russell Wilson, will play and will be we'll call it over 50% in terms of scoring drives led by him.
Ooh, that sounds like trash to me, Donkey. That doesn't sound like a Mike Tomlin game.
Fair enough. Let's go to Laskers here. Laskers, Pat Freiermuth is on a roll. It continues. He scores a touchdown. Cash or trash?
I'm going to cash that one in.
3 straight, baby. Let's go. All right. Gingy, last offensive one gets to go to you. The Steelers play a clean game only 1 sack is allowed, and they average over 4 yards a carry running the ball. The offensive line gels this week. Cash or trash?
Trash. I don't think they allow 1 sack. I sure would like to see 4 yards a carry, though. Let's go.
Gingy, did you see the play where Isaac Semualu got knocked back 10 yards at the snap? Oh, my God. I was so embarrassed.
God, it looked painful.
I was like, that's our best offensive lineman. And he just got jerked by a freaking backup. I was really sad. Let's go to defense. Let's start. Oh, wait, we can't do that yet. We need a closing thought on offense. I'm too sidetracked today. Gingy, what do you see happening on offense for the Steelers versus the Raiders?
Well, I'd like to see a more dynamic running game. Najee Harris alongside Jalen Warren. Let's hope that he's probably got some limited snaps, probably no more than 5-8 carries. But let's hope that those are big ones. 5 yards or more on that. 5 yards or more on that. Breaks one for more than 20. And I'd like to see that play into an ultimate 2 passing touchdowns for Justin Fields and a clean game on that side. Like you said, 0 turnovers. Laskers.
Into an ultimate frisbee showdown.
And Boswell's going to be a hero. That's
Boswell's
my
always
offense.
The hero, baby.
That is the most Laskers line anyway. I'll let you guys cash or trash my offensive take. It's going to be this. The Steelers, like they do, are going to start out slowly. I think Justin Fields is going to take a big hit, and that's going to allow the Steelers to make their change to Russell Wilson. The offense doesn't really click, but gets going enough to kick 3 field goals and score 1 second half touchdown.
Gross.
But is that enough for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Will Russell Wilson's go? Give them the chance. Cash or trash this take. Specifically, I don't want you to cash or trash the Russell Wilson coming in thing. I want you to cash or trash a slow start with a second half that heats up.
I'll cash that. Sounds pretty Steelers-like to me.
Too.
All right, let's go to defense. Too. Let's go to Laskers. These new edge rushers nobody knows of, but Jamario Moon and company of whoever the hell we're elevating get 2 or more sacks this week against much maligned, much struggling Vegas Raiders offensive line.
So no names getting 2 sacks?
Or Jamario Moon, since I know who he is. Or Jeremiah Moon.
I'll cash that one in.
All right, I like it. Gingy, Minkah Fitzpatrick gets an interception. Cash or trash?
You were talking about much maligned in the last segment. Yeah, you want to talk about much maligned. That's pretty an artful way to describe Minkah Fitzpatrick as well, donkey. He needs an interception. I don't know if he's that. He's playing out of position, and I know he's not, quote unquote. But it's so obvious at this point that he don't belong right there where he's at. But yeah, I'll give him an interception this week. Cash it in. He's going to be floating back there and grab one. Aiden O'Connell ain't going to be real paying attention to him too much.
Minkah Fitzpatrick's actually been playing more center field than he has in the past couple years because of Elliott's ability to play in the box. And the big pass down the sideline where Deontay Jackson hands off the receiver to a safety who never showed up because he bit into the middle. Really, really disappointed me with Minkah last week. But Laskers, let's keep it going. This is the game Patrick Queen is the better of the middle linebackers, and his stat line, he'll have more tackles for loss, and more sacks than Bobby Spillane on the opposite side. Is this the game for Patrick Queen, Laskers? Cash or trash?
Trash.
No hope. Gingy, we're going to go to you. The other half of this one has a game. Peyton Wilson gets the matchup with Brock Bowers, and he holds him under 50 receiving yards. Cash or trash?
Oh, I sure hope so. I don't know. That's probably the question of the day. That's the question of the day. That's the difference between a win and a loss right there. I'll say cash, but then that's the difference in the day.
Yeah. Laskers, we're going to go ahead and go to you to end the defense, right? There's been a lot of talk about how bad this Raiders run game has been. The Steelers make sure to hold it there, and they hold the Raiders to under 3.5 yards a carry. Cash or trash?
I will cash that one in.
All right.
I'm going to
We'll
regret
start
that
with
one, but
Laskers. Closing thoughts on how the Steelers performed defensively against the Raiders.
yeah, they'll perform okay. That's where I'm at.
Gingy.
I don't know if okay is going to be enough. I hope it is this time. It sure wasn't last week. Okay wasn't good enough, but I don't know. I think that the Raiders are pretty riddled with injuries on that offense. I think the Steelers have a good chance to come out and hold them under 20 points, but I don't know if it's spectacular. I don't know if they have it together yet. Donkey, I just don't know after last week. Watching them give up that game the way that they did, it shakes you. It
hurts.
Shakes you as a Yinzer to the core.
It does. I feel this is going to be my segment on it. I feel the defense, this is going to be a throwback game. There's going to be a lot of running, a lot of check down passes, not much, aggressive shots down the field, but in those 1-and-1, 50, not even 50-50, like 10%, 80% incomplete balls. I feel like you're going to see a throwback game here. I feel the defense is going to step up in this particular way. They had a terrible game against the Colts. And I'll do you one better. I think they had a good game against the Cowboys, Gingy. I won't go anything but good. I think it's slightly above okay. I think they had a good game. And what I'm going to say is this week, the difference is Aiden O'Connell is not a veteran who, when he makes a mistake, is going to bounce right back. The Steelers aren't going to do much. O'Connell's going to make one mistake, and it's going to snowball. And the Steelers' defense is going to just absolutely shut the Raiders down in the second half after playing very average in the first half. I'll say somewhere between 1 and 3 scores in the first half and no scores in the second half. Cash or trash that take you to?
Cash it.
Fair. Laskers. Did we lose Laskers?
I'll cash it too. I had to think
Laskers
about it.
fallen asleep.
No, I had to think about it.
So now we got to get into picks. By the way, in terms of picking Steelers games, Madden is better than any of us, as Madden's 4-1. A couple of us are 3-2. And by the way, everybody,
Laskers is terrible.
There's one at 2 and 3, and then there's one with only one win. This week, Madden thinks we beat them 17-14. So just so we have the Madden pick out there, because I don't want to forget it again. Hey, you want Bug Boo's picks? You'll have to listen to the Bugcast. Him and his brother, by the way, both are 10-9 and 3-2. I'll ask Jordy's his picks tomorrow and write them down. That means I'm now tied with them, Gingy. I'm 10-9, but I'm 2-3 in Steelers games. Lasker's a 6-13, 1-4 in Steelers games. Gingy, 12-7, 3-2 in Steelers games. Gingy's starting to run away with this. Let's go. Let's start some AFC North picks. We'll start with the reigning leader. We have Cleveland going to play Philly, Gingy. Who'd you like?
Cleveland to Philly. Well, what did I say last week? Anybody but Cleveland until proven otherwise. Give me Philly.
Massage Watson, it looks like the worst quarterback in football. Laskers, who'd you like?
I'm actually going to join Gingy on this one. I'm going Philly.
Well, let's make it a green sweep then. I also like Philly. Washington, Baltimore. Man, it's hard to pick against Washington with the way they're playing, but I like Baltimore at home. How about you, Laskers?
I was hoping to be the last one on this one, but I'm going to go Washington.
Gingy.
Give me Baltimore at home. It's the home field advantage. It's going to be very hard for a young rookie quarterback to go there and be successful. Give me Baltimore.
I need some wins, so that's why I was hoping to go last. I was going to pick Washington because I figured you guys were both going to pick Baltimore.
Home field there is very difficult.
But I just watched Baltimore win the whoever touches the ball last wins the game against Cincy, which, by the way, Cincy's now going to New York. I'll let Laskers pick last on this one. I'll start again. I think the Bengals offense is good enough to make up.
Pick on that one.
I think the Bengals offense is good enough to make up for the fact that their defense sucks in this one. I think they beat the Giants. Gingy.
Bengals, Giants. I think coming off the heartbreaker last week, they look like they got the firepower that they need. Give me the Bengals. Giants are bad. Giants are bad.
Yeah, I'm going to make this a coin sleep, and I just don't think the Giants have that team.
Giants are bad.
Give me the Bengals.
They are bad, and they might be without. I think Nate Nabbers has a concussion protocol. If he doesn't play, man, that offense is going to be limping. Pittsburgh's going to Vegas, Laskers. Who'd you like? Give me a score. Give me an X factor.
Give me 16-13 Raiders, and Daniel Carlson is my X factor, the Raiders kicker.
Laskers is the most love ever given to kickers on any show ever. I'm here for it. Gingy, same thing.
Give me 20-16 Steelers. X factor. Pat Freiermuth. Gonna start putting a few games together. For earning that check.
Touchdown
Somebody on that
baby.
offense is gonna earn the check.
So Gingy's record, by the way, at the end of the year for Steelers picks, if anyone's curious, is just going to be whatever the hell the Steelers record is.
No, well, maybe.
I too like the Steelers in this game. I like them to win 22-13, and I like my X factor this week to be none other than TJ Watt. Okay, I'm just going to go with the easy pick. All right, I guess that means we get to a shout-out segment. Gingy, do you have one, or should I go straight to Laskers?
I don't know. It's tough in a loss like that. Kyle Allen didn't make a good play.
Dude, I'm never letting you do shout-outs before me again if you pick Kyle Allen.
That was Kyle Allen did a good play. 19-yard reception, stepped in, threw a strike in the middle. I was like, right in we see our backup come in, and the first ball that they throw is right square, a dime in the middle of the field, and then he just trots back over like a boss. I'll do a shout out for that.
Yeah, you're never allowed to do shout outs before me again. Laskers, do you have one?
Yeah, I do. TJ Watt shout out for the fastest player to 100 sacks.
That's a good one, Laskers.
Just slightly slower than good old Reggie White. I remember him dominating a little bit when I was younger. Okay, you know what? This shout-out has to go to a Landon Roberts, man. I know the play didn't change the game, but my God, what a play he made on the goal line. So, got to go with a Landon Roberts on that shout-out.
That's a good shout-out.
I guess this time, I'll let you know. I'm the Viking Donkey. It's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. The X, that is. Your daily dose of Donkey Gingers, where you get all this fun content. Be sure to tune in every week for the Bugcap Power Ranking Show. Happens after week 7. Laskers, Gingy, start putting them damn thinking caps on because we're going to make it happen again this year. I think JD will join me for that show, so you'll get to hear his picks live on air too, and we'll get him started into the fun little show biz, I guess is what we'll call it here. I guess that means it's time for me to send it over to Laskers because I got nothing else to say. I refuse to believe that Laskers passed out at the very end.
Laskers?
All right. Laskers is gone in oblivion. Gingy, take it away.
Gingy, taking it away. We hanging out. We talking sports. Steelers on a little bit of a midseason skid. Oh, well. Popping back in Vegas. Time to roll the dice. Time to get back on a winning streak. Wave them if you got them. Here we go, Steelers.
And Lasker's going to chime in. Lasker's everywhere. If you can find me, good luck.